Hello, this is Bridget Lyons with Unfettered Inc., and this is a PR Primer. Now, anyone who's been following along with this series or my newsletter knows that I'm constantly ragging on the press release. But until now, I haven't had a great concrete example from a reader to share with you exactly why I think that the press release is just a horrible method for getting your story out there. So I want to share to you the series of emails that I had with Hallie. It illustrates this perfectly, and I hope it will just close the door on this once and for all. So Hallie wrote me, "I've got a story, but it's too close and my first one pitching to get any clarity. My mom was diagnosed with terminal cancer last year and couldn't leave her bed. I didn't want her to die with regret, so I asked the internet to help her live her life's dream, traveling the world. Kind people from all over sent in dozens upon dozens of postcards to help her travel from her bed. She was ecstatic. I held her hand as she passed away last year, and I promised her that I'd turn it into a book. I've approached multiple magazines with no success. What's the best way to do so, do you think? Thanks for your time, Hallie." Well, when I got this email, I was instantly intrigued because it has all the hallmarks of a human interest story that we're used to seeing in magazines and especially our local newspaper stations. So I wanted to dig a little deeper and find out, well, why didn't anybody pick this up? So I asked Hallie how she conducted her outreach, and this is what she responded. "I sent in my press release to different magazines and newspapers through whatever email address I could get. Cringeworthy, I know, but I don't know how to reach the right people." I just want to read to you also the very first paragraph of Hallie's press release, which in journalistic convention is the lead, and it's the most important piece of information in a story that they report upon. So this is what Hallie wrote. "A Glastonbury woman was diagnosed with cancer in January. Hundreds of people all over the world sent in postcards to help her fulfill her life's dream." The reason I wanted to read this to you is that I wanted to show you the construction of the press release that Hallie put together is not bad. It's far from it. It's really obvious to me when I read this that she'd done some research and figured out exactly how you should construct a lead and then put together the information of the release. So I'm going to rule out it's not the way the release was written that is the issue. I think really there's a two-part problem here. First, a press release is the inappropriate method for getting this kind of story out, and we're going to address that in just a second. And the second issue with Hallie self-diagnosed is she didn't know how to get the contact information for the people she wanted to reach. So let's start with the first problem. So the reason I say a press release doesn't work is I like to call it the spray and pray method, right? You send out a release, please, 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 I hope somebody picks up my story. But I'm going to put this very bluntly, and not because I want to discourage you, but because I want you to refocus your efforts on the right kind of work that you can be doing to get coverage. So the media's job is to find fresh angles on the subject areas that they cover, right? That's what a reporter or an editor's job is. They're assigned a subject area, and they're always looking for new stories. Their job is not to take your story and figure out how it could possibly fit within their publication. If you want coverage, that is your job, not theirs, okay? And so the reason I'm bringing this up now is Hallie's story has multiple angles that could be right for multiple media, but a press release is not going to tell a reporter or an editor exactly how it fits within their publication. So let me give you a couple examples and break this down. So one really obvious angle for this story is the local interest. Local newspapers really like to report on what's happening in their communities. Same thing with TV and radio. So the fact that this woman is from Glastonbury and this really heartwarming thing happened is a great fit for the local media. And so when you reach out to them, you want to emphasize that and how you're happy to talk to them or put them into contact with people who are local, okay? But then maybe a national magazine, they're not going to care that this woman was from Glastonbury, but they're going to care maybe that you have a first-person written account that they can publish, because a lot of magazines will publish things like that, like nonfiction or fiction excerpts. So a better approach for a magazine might be to say, well, here's something that I've written about this. I'd love for you to publish it, especially if you're looking to get a book deal. And a third angle might be, maybe there's a magazine that likes to have like visual stories. And so you could say, I have some postcards I can send to you that you could publicize, and here's a little snippet about what happens with that. So there's three very different ways to approach the same story that could be appropriate for different publications. So your job in reaching out to the media is to find out what kind of angle they're looking for and then deliver that to the right contact. Which brings me to Hallie's second part of our question. And I've decided to do something a little different today and actually break this up into two parts. So for Hallie or anyone out there who has been sending press releases to no avail, I want to give you an assignment. Your assignment is to go back to your target media list and start figuring that out. What are the kinds of angles on your story that they'll be interested in? And then in the next PR Primer, I'm going to come back with some really simple tips on how you can find the contact information for the people you want to reach out to. I'll see you next time.